And with that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about ElevenLabs AI audio. Let's talk first about where you cannot use AI. And that's going to be pretty important. Now, one of the things that you may know about YouTube is that you now have to disclose. And so if you go to YouTube and you want to open up and you want to upload a video, you may not have seen this in your screen, but you've got to disclose now basically whether or not you're using AI. But the good thing is that there's a particular aspect of AI that you've got to make sure that you are disclosing. And so you've got to tell them whether or not you're using altered content. So this at one time did say AI content. And what they've done is they've really clarified this because people are using AI as the voice for some of their content. Now, just so that you'll know, now, if you're going to use and do a faceless channel, I think that the jury is out on that. I don't know if they throttle those videos, but as of right now, it looks as if it's certainly not against their terms of service. The way that they want you to disclose AI is if you're almost impersonating anyone. So if there's anything that you're doing with AI to make it look like you're trying to impersonate someone else or something else, then they don't want that, right? That's pretty much what they don't want. And so that's what it now means for altered content. This has now changed from, I think, even a month ago when they first started saying that they didn't want AI content. So what that means to you is that if you want to use ElevenLabs in your videos, you can use ElevenLabs in your videos. And if you can also use and we'll talk about this a little bit tonight. If you're going to use an AI creator like Pictory that already has ElevenLabs in it, you can certainly do that. What they're saying about, and I'm still talking about YouTube right now, is they encourage the use of generation tools. So that's a statement from YouTube as of the recording of this session. Again, it says creators must disclose content that, number one, makes a real person appear to say something that they didn't or didn't do. So if you're doing some kind of deep fake, and let's say you're going to have Tom Cruise talking about your information product, they don't want that. If you're altering footage of a real event or place, they don't want that. And that's not what we're talking about here with audio. So you don't have anything to worry about. Again, if you're talking about creating audio with ElevenLabs and adding it to your video, this is not going to prevent you from doing it. What they're saying is an altered or synthetic content example of things that you cannot do or things that you have to disclose for. And you can see here, there's nothing in here that says that you can't run your script through ElevenLabs. So there's nothing like that. Again, that's as of right now. So it says using effects to enhance previously recorded audio that does not require disclosure, right? So you don't have to disclose for that. But you do have to disclose if you're simulating audio to make it sound as if a medical professional gave advice when the medical professional not actually give that advice. So I think you get the idea of what they're saying in terms of we do or do not want you to use AI in order to create your videos. Again, looking specifically at these examples of content, things that you have to disclose for or you don't have to disclose for. So if you look here, it just says caption creation, don't have to disclose for that. Idea generation, video sharpening. So there's nothing here that would indicate that you're going to have to disclose about using ElevenLabs, right? If you're going to be using ElevenLabs for your videos. So just want to kind of keep that in mind. Again, you want to watch the policy. You want to make sure you understand the policy so that if you're going to be using it on a regular basis, you're going to build your channel around audio that you're creating using ElevenLabs, or even if you're using the ElevenLabs inside of Pictory.ai, you've got to keep track of this policy as YouTube states it. And again, they're giving you quite a few things, examples, so that you know exactly what it is you're going to have to do in order to disclose. So again, if you go to your favorite search engine and you look at the AI policy for YouTube, you'll be able to find this list of things. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you do want to make sure you understand this. Again, if you're going to be using AI audio in order to create your videos. And if you look at the end of this list, it says that this list is not exhaustive. So once again, it's still not quite as specific as maybe you might need it to be, but it does give us some pretty good idea as to what you're going to have to think about if you're going to be using AI for your videos. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about marketing fundamentals and how you're going to be thinking through this aspect of using 11 Labs for your business. In particular, when we start talking about a USP, we're going to spend a little more time on that. So I'm not going to go over that right now. Now, when you start talking about doing upsells and cross sells to information products that you are selling, or upsells and cross sells to something that you're doing, one of the things that you can do effectively now with 11 Labs is that you can very quickly create an audio if you have a written script. So I would say that if you're selling anything and you're selling it and all you have is let's say you've got the ebook version or you've got the written version, well, you can add on an audio version very easily because some people are auditory. And some people would appreciate being able to listen to something rather than having to read something. And again, I mean, some people are going to be different. Some people would rather read something and skim it rather than having to watch or sit down and listen to something. But the benefit of giving people audio means that they're going to be able to take that audio with them. So they can put that audio on their mobile device. They can then listen to that audio when you give it to them. So again, when you start thinking about upselling someone and you're giving someone a written document, consider also giving them a audio version that they can carry with them. Also, you can add on a video version. Now, that's beyond the scope of what we're going to be talking about here tonight. But if you have an AI creation system where you can create videos, and once again, if you're using an AI creator in terms of video, such as Pictory.ai, that system already has 11 Labs inside of it. So if you're going to use them in order to create videos, you can add on a video version where you're basically going to take the script that you have or the written document that you have, you're going to give it over to Pictory.ai and you're going to turn it over and turn it into a video. Now, that video can go on YouTube. I wouldn't put it there, but you certainly can give it to your customer again as another way of them being able to experience the content. Everyone is different. And so if you're just delivering in one format, you want to consider delivering another format. And again, this can be an upsell or a cross sell. It can also be a bonus. And I would encourage you that if you're going to give someone a written document, maybe you want to try an upsell that's going to be a video version or an audio version, or add a video and audio version into your upsell. All you're really doing is increasing the value and you're making it more likely that someone's going to consume what you were doing. When you're selling an information product or you're giving an information product away, it's not necessarily the end of the battle just because you got them to buy it. Well, if you can get them to consume it, that's even better. And one of the ways you can get people to consume things is to give them multiple formats. And one of the ways you can do that again is going to be to add in video and audio. There are list building elements to think about when you are thinking about how you're going to use 11 apps. For example, we just talked about additional formats. Well, if you're going to create a lead magnet, consider now that you're going to give someone a written lead magnet, give them the audio version also. If you're going to give them the audio version of a lead magnet, consider giving them a video version also. All it does is it makes it more likely that your customer is going to consume what you're giving them. So again, all of these things are going to give you extra insight. It's going to give you extra inroads into the mind and heart of your customer. One of the things that you can also do when you're talking about list building is you can get your customer to listen. And so if you can bring a customer to a page, some people just don't like to read and they're not going to read no matter, they're not going to skim it. They're not going to read all of your text. And if you bring them to a landing page, and you're trying to get them to opt in, you might want to test auto playing an audio because not everyone wants to have an autoplay video play, but some people will listen to an audio. It's worth testing. My point by telling you this is that You can bring people to a landing page. You can have them listen to an audio where you're spelling out the benefits, and some people are then going to get it, right? Some people are not going to get it just by you giving them a written document. They're just not going to, but they will get it if they listen to an audio. So again, consider doing that, and you might find that you might find that your list is growing faster by bringing people to that kind of landing page. When you can create audio effectively, and let's say that you are selling a product, one of the things you can do is you can create audio versions of what you're going to be delivering, give that to your affiliates. Now, you may not want to give it to your customer, but you could give it to your affiliates and give it to them as an additional bonus for them to use in order to sell your product. It's a good way of being a good partner to your affiliates by giving them an extra bonus that they can use. Now, most affiliates will come up with their own bonuses to promote your product, but if you know they're promoting, you can give them, or you can give some of your best affiliates, the opportunity to use an audio version of what it is that you are selling. Again, all you're trying to do is create multiple formats that you can use inside of your business. And again, these are marketing fundamentals. We talked about USP, right? How can I make it so that I can do something uniquely that my customer can only get from me? Upsells and cross sells. In other words, how can I market exponentially? So in other words, I've already got the customer. How can I help that customer more and allow them to pay me more because of more the additional value I'm providing? So if I can provide that additional value by giving them an audio version, right, what I'm doing is I'm increasing my profits without having to get a new customer. List building. One of the best ways of being able to provide additional value to your customers is to make sure that you're growing your email marketing list. And when I say your email marketing list, what I mean is some of what you're going to be doing to provide additional value to that list is giving them new content on a regular basis. You may find that people don't necessarily want to read your blog post. You can actually give them an audio version of your blog post if you're going to be using ElevenLabs in that way. And again, uh, USP, upsells, cross sells, list building, partners and affiliates. Those are 4 fundamentals, right? We've also can do direct response. Now, one of the things we're going to be talking about in this session is how you're going to add emotion to the audio that you're creating inside of ElevenLabs. Because when you're doing direct response, you want to be able to convey emotion. Now, when you're talking about educational marketing, you're not necessarily talking about conveying emotion, but you do want to make sure that your voice is going to be varied. So if all you're going to do is just put something into a monotone voice, people are not necessarily going to learn that much, not going to tune in. But you can do ElevenLabs. You can use it so that you can convey emotions. We'll talk a little bit about that here in this session. What is the most important element to the marketing fundamentals and ElevenLabs? Where do those things intersect? How do you do something uniquely that other people cannot do? How do you give people something that people can only get from you, which is the definition of a USP? Well, one of the ways in which you do that, the most effective way in which you use ElevenLabs to do that, is you give them a consistent voice that only you can create. And that's going to take time to create, but we're going to get into that here in this session. We're talking about consistent voicing for your voice using ElevenLabs. And every voice is going to be unique in how it reads the passages in the software. So what you're going to find is that when you run something through ElevenLabs and you give it a text to run, it's going to read it different depending on which voice you use. So if you put maybe a male voice in there, or you put the Antoni voice in there, it's going to read it a certain way. If you put a female voice there, it's going to read it a certain way. And sometimes it'll read it differently the first time than it does the second time. And so you're going to have to be aware of what voice you use. And what you really want to do with your customers is you want to make sure that you're giving them a unique voice. And that's one of the ways in which you can deliver USP. Spacing matters. So how you put the document in, how you space it matters. You can change a space to change the way the AI reads your voice. And so you're going to have to be aware of how the spacing is. And when you have a problem, one of the things you can do, let's say that when you run the AI and you get the actual voice back, it produces something, it's not quite to your liking. One of the real easy ways to go back in and edit your document so that it may read it correctly is to change some of the spacing. So spacing matters in 11 Labs. Punctuation matters. Where you put commas will dictate sometimes how the AI reads something. You may want to put sometimes a semicolon in there, even though it's not grammatically correct. The AI will read that semicolon, and sometimes it will pause, or sometimes it will convey a specific kind of emotion in the way it talks to try to guess at what it is you're trying to say. So you can always change punctuation to get the AI to read it in the way that you want. Paragraphs matter. So if you change something from a long block of text to, let's say, 3 or 4 paragraphs, the AI is going to read that differently. So if you're trying to figure out, well, how can I develop a way that the AI reads my content so that it does it the same way every time, you need to start thinking about how you're going to develop your paragraphs, how you're going to develop your content. And you want to be consistent about how you put it into the AI, especially in the 11 labs, but there's a figuring out process. So you need to figure out how the AI is going to read what you put in there. You want to figure out what voice you're going to use, and then you want to focus on that particular voice and how it reads what it is that you put in. Because in 11 Labs, that's the most important thing. You need to develop a consistent voice. There's a concept within the creation of characters that are images, and that is called consistent characters. You can do the same thing with the AI audio, and you should be thinking about it in the very same way. You want the AI, when you're going to create an audio, to be consistent in how it does that, because that becomes your USP. Now, if you're really going to use you're going to use AI audio, you want it to be consistent. You want people to come back to your voice the way you create it over and over again. Now, when you go and get a voice out of 11 Labs, it may not be consistent. It's probably not going to be. And so one of the ways that you can do that is you can format your voice settings inside of 11 Labs. Probably one of the best ways of being able to do this effectively is to add on a professionally cloned voice. And in most cases, that's going to be the fastest way for you to be able to create something unique that other people are not going to be able to create. Now, obviously, it is part of the paid plan. So you do need to make sure that you're going to have a use for what you're producing in your audio. But if you're actually selling an information product, you can probably routinely get your investment back. You can probably get your monthly back if you invest in understanding how to use your professionally cloned voice. It's going to be part of the paid plan. One of the ways that you can, let's say, recoup your investment. Let's say that you don't want to have another monthly fee that goes unanswered. One of the things I would highly encourage you to do is, as you begin to learn how to use the voice, is share what you're learning on YouTube. Share with other people. Now, you may say that I don't want other people to know I'm using a cloned voice. Most people will not care, and your audience will probably get a lot of value from learning how you're using AI, right? Because in some cases, it makes more sense for you to disclose that you're doing it rather than not to disclose it. So it doesn't make sense for you to pretend like you're not using an AI voice when you are. And if you are going to use one, you might as well disclose how you're using it. And you can do that effectively by joining the 11 Labs affiliate program and then share that information with other individuals and other marketers. You're going to have to work with that professionally cloned voice. So it's not going to work right out of the box. They're going to give you a time where you can tweak it. You do want to make sure that you take that time and tweak the voice when you do it. Now, when you first start with your professionally cloned voice, it's probably going to degrade over time. What I mean by that is that for longer passages that you're trying to use it, it's not going to behave the same way as maybe one of the more established voices in 11 Labs is going to do. So it's going to degrade over time. It's going to degrade for longer audios. So you're going to have to work around that. And you can do that by using the projects features inside of 11 Labs. Now, one thing you need to know about using projects is that consistency is an issue. So, in some cases, when you're using the project feature, you may find that consistency may be an issue. So again, you're going to have to test this out, but you can get the AI to read your professionally cloned voice for longer passages if you use the projects feature. I do want to just walk you through the 11 Labs affiliate program, and there's not a lot to it. In some cases, you may find that applying for an affiliate program is it's a real chore. They don't make it that way. In fact, you can probably get your link if you've already got a paid plan. What they tell you about the affiliate program is that there are no fees, so you don't have to pay anything to join. Um, and they pay you 22% of the first 12 months. So if your customer sticks around for 11 Labs, then they're going to pay you 22% of their payment. And then it looks like you get paid pretty much on a regular basis, on a monthly basis. So you want to pay attention to that. And it's going to take place inside of something called Partner Stack. But again, it's not difficult to get approved, so you don't have to worry about those things. If you are a user of 11 Labs, then I think they will approve you right away. And you'll need to check that out though. And again, depending on when you're hearing this, that might be different. You probably want to investigate this. So don't go paying for 11 Labs in order to become part of the affiliate program. That's probably not a good practice. That's not a good idea. You may want to check with the affiliate program. In some cases, you can be part of the affiliate program even before you sign up. And so if you're trying to make sure that you're, offsetting the cost, that's one way you can do it by going to get your affiliate link beforehand and then sharing it with your audience. When you join the affiliate program with 11 Labs, you're going to have to watch your email. In many cases, you might be getting an email to the account email that you set up. So in other words, whatever your 11 Labs account email is, that's where they're going to send this email. And it's not always going to show up as 11 Labs affiliate program. Some cases it may show up as partner stack. Some cases it may show up as 11 Labs. Some cases it may show up as 11 Labs affiliate. So you'll you'll need to make sure that you're watching your email for all these things and that you sign up and you finish the process with them, right? Because it's not going to be one we're just going to kind of click a link and it's going to happen. There's a process and they want you to finish it. You're just going to have to watch your email for anything that looks like Partner Stack, 11 Labs, or 11 Labs affiliate program. One aspect of having your voice created is that you can take that same voice, you can put it in the voice library, and then you can get paid if someone decides to use that voice. Now there's no marketing, methods you can use in order to get your voice seen. All you're really doing is just you're giving people use of that voice if that's what you want to do. And in most cases, that's kind of counter purposes to what you're doing. So, if you're not a voiceover artist and you're not looking to give people access to, your voiceover talent, you're probably going to be using 11 Labs in order to use for your content. Doesn't make a lot of sense that you would probably be putting and making that voice available. But if that is something that you're interested in doing, you can make that voice available in their voice library. And if someone decides to use it over and over again, you can be paid. So you can get connected using Stripe or PayPal and your bank account, and then they will set you up. Now, 11 Labs used to, in order to professionally clone your voice, used to take 10 to 14 days, and that's now been reduced. So it'll now do that in 3 hours. And sometimes it might take longer if there are enough people in there, but for the most part, the same day you can get back that professionally cloned voice if that's what you choose to. Now, once again, this is the paid version that we're talking about. But if you really want to make sure that your voice is the one that you're using, you can use their voice cloning, and it takes a lot shorter than it used to. Now, here's what that means. You can create a voice for a specific purpose, and then you can delete that voice and remake that voice for another purpose. So in other words, let's say that what you're trying to do is you want to use the voice for a video narration. You can do that. You can delete that voice and then you can recreate one for another purpose. So, you only get one as part of your account. So you're not going to be able to create, more than one, but you can delete the professionally cloned voice and upload another one if you have a different purpose. There are 4 stages to the process. And basically, you can watch that progress in real time on your 11 Labs dashboard. There are two ways to create a voice. You can either upload audios, and in most cases, that's something that you may do, or you can actually speak into 11 Labs and you can narrate something, and then you can then have them create the voice based on that. In some cases, that may be an easier way for you to be able to communicate that emotion. So, in other words, you want to go in there and you want to read it in the way that you want that project to be read. So once again, here you're looking here 11 Labs was saying they'll get it back to you in 3 hours. If you're talking about multilingual, it's probably going to be more like 6 or twice as long. There are 4 stages to the process. As I said, they're going to verify that they have your voice sample. And if your voice sample is going to be that you read it, they're going to verify that they have it. And then it goes into a processing time, right? So if we're talking about the same day, we're not talking about 2 weeks. There's a processing time, but you probably go away and come back and see how your voice is doing. You can then fine tune that same voice, right? So you can see it, and then once the voice is fine tuned, they will let you know, and you can come back and get the audio. Now, here's the important thing about using 11 Labs in this way. And so, if you're going to have 11 Labs to do certain things, let's say that you want to read this, you want 11 Labs to do your audiobook. Now, I do need to say this on the up front right now that as of the recording of this session, Amazon Kindle does not or will not take an AI narrated voice. They are doing a beta program where they're going to allow you to use their voice, but as of right now, you can no longer use an AI voice using an audiobook in Amazon Kindle. So that's important to note here in this section. So even if you're going to be doing an audiobook, let's say you're going to be doing an audiobook, you're going to be giving that audiobook away, or you're going to be selling it as part of an information product, you want to go ahead and give um, 11 Labs your sample of you reading an audiobook, right? So however you read it, however you want the emotion done, if you want a professionally cloned voice and you want to use it for an audiobook, you're going to record the voice exactly the way you want it to be read. Same thing's going to be true with a news article, right? You're going to read that news article exactly the way you want it to be read. So you think about the purpose. Remember, what we're talking about doing here is creating a voice and creating that voice by reading to it. So we're not talking about uploading audios this time, unless what you want to do is you want to record all the audios that you can of you reading an audiobook. Now, that's going to be a bit of a chore. You can go in and do it right away, but now it will probably be more than worth your time if you know you're going to be doing, let's say, 3 or 4 of these things, and that what you're going to do is you're going to go and record the audios so that when you got to come back, you got to do a different purpose. You just re-upload the audios, right? So if you go ahead and you record all the audio that you can use for a news article, all the audio that you can use for social media, all the audio that you're going to do for video narration, do that one time, right? So make your recordings, make them one time. And then what you're going to do is when you get back to 11 Labs and you get ready to do a professionally cloned voice, you delete the one you don't want. You go back and you get those audios that you recorded and you re-upload them in order to create the second cloned voice. So this is a bit of a process, but you can mitigate some of the time in that process by pre-recording the audios for specific purposes. And that's going to be worth your time to do if you intend to use the professionally cloned voice here inside of 11 Labs. Okay, are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions about the process of going through this audio with 11 Labs? Any questions?